Toaster's here now. Hopefully he'll be not too loud. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty. Welcome to episode 272 of the Love and Stitches podcast. So you may be noticing that I'm in a different spot, and also it's a Tuesday that this is coming out. So things are all out of whack because we have started traveling again. So right now we're in Pennsylvania, staying with our friends Brianna and Michael. Actually, we're going to have a special guest on this podcast in just a little bit, so hang around for that. It's going to be really, really fun. I'm going to talk about spinning. So yeah, things are a little wacky because we left Tennessee last week. We have done a bunch of things that I'm going to talk about in the life segment. We went to Maryland, and now we're in Pennsylvania. So videos are a little weird this week. I'm going to have the podcast is Tuesday, and instead of Thursday, and on Thursday it's going to be yarn centric, and then the following Tuesday we're going to have our Maryland sheep and wool video. But that's just so we can kind of get everything out in a timely manner, and then we'll be pretty much back to normal. I actually can't say that for sure because with travel things are really unexpected. So my plan is to try to keep getting 2 videos out a week and having the podcast come out on Thursday, but I will just keep you posted if that changes. And especially when we're going to be traveling through Canada and not really clear on like how we'll have internet all of the time, things could be a little off. So just turn on your notifications, I guess, and I think YouTube will notify you when I have a new video. That is a thing, I believe, or on Instagram, I will let you know. So I have a project to share with you that I made quite a lot of progress on, our special guest, and quite a bit to share in life. So let's get right into it. Coming up first, I have my Skyline Tee. And since this is my only whip and is still my only whip, I've made some really good progress on it. I've also had some challenges, so let's talk about that. But let me show you it first. So this is the Skyline Tee, shake it out, by Tori Yu. And I had just done the shoulder panels last week, and now I have progressed. So I believe I did the back first. I think that's how it's written in the pattern. So you start, this is a cool construction. It has saddle shoulders. So started with these panels, made 2 of them, picked up stitches, and where are we at? Picked up stitches, cast on, picked up, and then worked the back. There were short rows in here, which makes it really, really nice, so it's like diagonal on your shoulders. Did all of that, all great, and then picked up in the front. So you work the front separately, add some stitches for a little bit, and then eventually you cast on a little here in the middle and join them together and work until the front and back match. So that was all going great and wonderful. We'll get to what's happening in a second. I am using yarn from Ruby and Roses, and it is the BFL lace base called Rose Lace, 2-ply superwash BFL, and the color is Drama Queen. Okay, so all of that was going great. I was making loads of progress. I am now at the point where I'm just knitting round and round, so it's like in a really nice spot. But I was kind of looking at it and I'm like, I don't know, it looks a little small. And if you remember from last podcast, I shared that my gauge, when I did my gauge swatch, which I do hang on to, I have it right here, my gauge was actually a little big. So instead of getting 25 stitches in 4 inches, I am getting 24 or like 23 and a half, 24 stitches in 4 inches. So what I decided, because I'm in between sizes, is I picked the smaller size because my gauge is a little larger. If I pick the size that's a little bit smaller, it's actually going to come out kind of in between the 2 sizes that I'm in between and be just right for me. So I'm like, let me measure this. So first thing I did was measure all the way across and multiply by 2 to get a sense of what the bust was looking like. And it was smaller than what I thought it was going to be coming out. So I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And then next I was like, let me measure my gauge. And granted, this is not a blocked piece. So I can't tell, the gauge perfectly, but between before and after blocking my gauge swatch, things didn't change much. So I feel like this is a pretty accurate representation of the gauge. So I measured my stitch gauge, and lo and behold, I am now getting very close to the original stitch gauge, if not a bit smaller, which is not great because that means my top is a lot smaller. So I did some math, and I'm gonna use my computer so I don't mess this up. So essentially, I went from getting 24 stitches in 4 inches, which is 6 stitches per inch, to 26 stitches in 4 inches, which is 6.5 stitches per inch. So 6 stitches per inch to 6.5 stitches per inch. How much is this going to affect things? I can figure that out. So I took the total number for the bust and I did a little math. So with my larger gauge, I was anticipating a bust of 39.6 inches, which was going to be perfect for me because my actual bust measurement is 35. That was going to give me about 4.5 inches of positive ease, just what I wanted. With my actual stitch gauge that I'm getting, 6.5 stitches per inch, I was going to get a bust of 36.6. That's a 3-inch difference from 39.6 to 36.6 and only 1.5 inches of positive ease on my bust. And I was like, well, that is just not going to work for me. I don't like that at all. So what I ended up doing, and I still don't know if this is a good solution, so take this with a grain of salt. You can come back and see how it actually works out. But what I decided to do is add stitches to the underarm, which then adds stitches to the bust and makes everything a little bit looser. So in this pattern, when you join the body, like after you complete the front and back, there are no stitches in the underarm. And I think that's because the saddle shoulders do drop over a little bit. So you don't really need a lot of space. You don't want like gathering of fabric. So there are no stitches cast on under the underarm like there are in a lot of patterns. So my friend Shayna, I was staying at her house. She was like, why don't you add some stitches under the arms? And so that's what I decided to do. I kind of did the thing, when you have a sweater that's not joined yet, where you put it on over your head and you're like pinching it to kind of like see, like, is it big enough yet? I do have this problem frequently with hand knit sweaters where I actually need to make the neck size up for the underarm and arms. I think that my bust size is just really small from the rest of my body proportions. And so bust size is not always like a telling measurement for me. I do have pretty broad shoulders. I have a small chest, and the rest of me is just bigger than that. So maybe that's something I need to start like looking into, is taking more measurements. I don't know. I'm always learning things from sweaters, and that's why I share them. Hopefully it's helpful and gives you more things to look at. But I have never had this exact problem before, so I'm trying a new solution and I'll let you know how it goes. So I just added in right under the underarm. I just cast on 6 stitches on each side. So that added 12 total stitches to my sweater, which means I should now have a bust of about 38.4. So to sum up, I thought I was going to get a bust of 39.6. If I made no changes, it would have been 36.6. But with my added stitches in the underarm, I should get a bust of about 38.4. So I'm still going to get about 3.5 inches of positive ease, which is better than 1.5. So I'm going to take it. So like I said, I don't know if this is the perfect solution. I'm also like, now I have more stitches. I'm already kind of like playing yarn chicken a little bit. So we're just going to see what happens. Now, to hedge my bets, is that the right thing? To make this come out as best as possible for me without having to totally rip this out, my plan is, now that I've done the body, I am going to go ahead and work a sleeve. So I only have 2 skeins of yarn, and I'm holding it double. I'm holding lace weight double to be fingering weight. I only have these 2 skeins of yarn. So in order to not like cut and change where the continuation of the yarn, I'm going to take the 2 outside strands to work the sleeve. And I'll probably go ahead and do that for the collar and the second sleeve if the first sleeve goes well. So now that I've got about, I don't know, an inch or so, under the arm, I feel like it's a good time to pause. I would have done that anyway. Like, even if things were going great with a fit and I didn't have to modify the pattern, I do kind of like to get it to the body where things are really simple. I'm just doing stockinette and then eventually ribbing and like, that's it. So then I like to like have fun and go ahead and finish off the other parts of the pattern anyway. So like I would have come back and done the collar, the sleeves, and it's also really great to check fit before you go too far. And because I'm running low on yarn, make sure I have enough yarn for the essential pieces, and then I can just make the body as long as possible. So because I'm having this thing with the bust and I added stitches to the underarm, I am a little bit worried that I'm now going to have too much fabric. I did try this on and I like the way that the body is fitting. Like I'm happy with that extra space, but will it be too much in the underarm? Will it bunch up and will it look bad? So I figure, let me go ahead and make a sleeve next, and then I'll put everything on tubing and block it, because until you actually wet it and let it air and, you know, dry out, you really can't tell the fit. So that's my plan. Do the sleeve, give it a block, try it on, see how I like it. And if things are looking good, then I'll do the collar, I'll do the other sleeve, and I'll carry on. So hopefully everything is fine. Hopefully everything is good. But we'll see. So that's probably going to be this evening for me, I think, getting that sleeve done. I'm also, I really like the way the sweater looks on Tori. I like the length of the sleeve on her, but I don't know if I like a super long sleeve, like a super long short sleeve on me. I feel like it makes me feel even broader. And so I kind of want to play with maybe shortening the sleeve length a little bit. I've been looking through a lot of the project pages and seeing how other people have made or modified the pattern. And I found a project page where I think the knitter added a lot of extra positive ease, like they did like 10 inches of positive ease in the body. And they kind of just, that gave them more drop right on the shoulder because it dropped over more. And then they just kind of did ribbing and finished it off. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because when I try mine on, it only just comes over like the right angle of my shoulders. So I'm going to need a little sleeve, but maybe not as long. Maybe something more like what I have here. You know, I guess that's probably pretty close to how it is in the pattern. But yeah, I'm going to play with it. And if you want to see what happens, come back next week and hopefully I have a sleeve. Okay, I have a special guest today. Da-da-da! Brianna.
It's me.
It's the little wolf knits.
It's little wolf knits.
So I've been making Brianna wait for me to tell her all about my spinning class, and I figured I can tell everybody all at once because I'm so excited. It's been almost a week since I took, it was called Yarn Texture, Building Exactly the Yarn You Want.
Yes, so that is a really popular spinning book. You might have looked through it, the book that I have here.
Do you have her book? Mm-hmm. Jillian Moreno.
Yeah.
Amazing teacher.
I didn't know that was, if I knew that was the class, I probably would have been like, I'm coming, I'm bombarding you.
She was teaching classes all weekend, like all different kinds. Like she had a class just on like braids. I know. But this was a class.
Next year. Did she do this every year?
I don't know. She teaches a lot, I think.
I hope she teaches next year.
Yeah. But she does, she has the book called Yarn Texture, but this was the 6-hour version of the class. So it was like, we had 3 hours in the morning, a lunch break, and then 3 hours in the afternoon. But she sometimes teaches the class over like a week. So you get like really, really deep. So this was kind of like the condensed version,
cool.
But I got so much out of it. And my friend Shayna that I went with got so much out of it. So I want to tell you what I learned.
Okay. Because would you recommend it?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely?
100%. I feel like not as a brand new spinner, but because I learned, Brianna taught me to spin in November of last year. So it's been December, January, February, March, April. So like 4 or 5 months, or 5, 6 months. So I feel like
if you know the basics.
I know the basics. I can make yarn. But what I wanted to learn, what I wanted to get out of the class is like, I can't change it. Like I can just make the yarn I know how to make, but I don't know how to do anything else.
Be more intentional in like how I want the yarn I want to make.
The yarn I want to make. So we started out like trying a lot of different fibers. So here's like the overview, and then
the
I'll show
bobbins
you.
are right here. I can't stop looking at them.
I know. So we tried like a bajillion fibers. I actually took a picture. There was just like a pile of fiber in the middle of the floor, and everyone's like set up with their wheels.
How many people were there?
20 to 30.
Oh, okay. Like a classroom size.
Yeah, like a classroom size. Most people had treadle spinning wheels, but then there was 3 of us with electric spinning wheels.
Cool.
So we like pulled a table into the circle and we like all set up. So that was really great. So we tried out different fibers. We first started by, I'll just go in order. We first started by trying like a fine, medium, and like a longer.
Fiber.
A longer fiber. So we tried merino, which I was already familiar with. Just merino.
Oh, didn't one of them have silk?
Not this one. I know I'm hungry too. So we tried merino, and then that was not a new one for me, but it felt really nice. And then Corriedale.
Okay.
And that was a new one for me. We did a lot of Corriedale. That was like Jillian's favorite.
Corriedale's nice.
It's nice. I don't know if I would like be super keen on knitting it, although I feel like it's better once it's plied, which I have.
So I think Carol, this is like, again, my limited knowledge. Cormo is Corriedale Merino Cross.
Ooh.
So I have a tank top right here.
So this is merino, Corriedale, and then the one that's like more yellowy is Wensleydale,
I think
which is a longer one.
Cormo. So it's Corriedale merino, so it like softens it a little bit.
I like that a lot, actually.
And I have another tank top that's Cormo, and it's even softer than this. So I wonder if it's like, depending on what generation cross it is, like if it has more merino or not. So I don't know if I've used straight Corriedale.
Well, if you want to try some, you're welcome to. Because I've worked with it a lot. Because basically anything that wasn't like trying a new fiber, like if we were just trying a new technique, she had Corriedale for us.
So
like I don't really, this is something I don't need to try. So you can actually try it if you want.
Cool.
Set it aside for you. And then Wensleydale, which was the longest one we tried. And I'm not a fan. But that was okay. It was nice to like be able to try like bits of it. And I might still spin this just to practice.
I think MC likes spinning long wools because it spins like it almost spins itself. She said like it needs very little twist. It like almost did too much, but she doesn't. It's too coarse for her. So she will spin a lot of it and then just sell or like give away those skeins. I think she has some Wensleydale.
So that was kind of like the first thing we did and she also was like walking around and like seeing how we all spun and like what we wanted to get out of the class and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, this is like already so much fun. And we talked about, okay, let's see. I'm going to look back at this. We talked about like, basically as we were testing things out, she gave us like a punch card that you could put a plyback sample on and like write on it. And I did not do that because I knew I wouldn't keep it because I'm not a paper person. But I was like, I just want to experience. So I was just trying to spin as much as I could. But that was really cool. A lot of people walked away with like these big cards full of plyback samples.
Especially if you want to make like a large sweater quantity or a blanket spin, or you sell your stuff and you want it to like, I need to recreate it. It's like dying, right? You need your notes.
So that's what I was thinking of. So I'm currently, if you remember from way long ago, I am in the middle of spinning up Brianna's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. This is all I have left to spin.
I was going to say, not even the middle. You're in the home stretch.
I still have to ply. But what would have been handy in the beginning, and maybe this wouldn't have mattered too much because I'm still such a new spinner. I think I still would have changed over time.
Yeah, you would have grown. Because remember when you started, you were like, I don't like merino, or I don't like one of them. And then by the end, you were like, oh, I love this.
It's easy. Yeah, they're all like pretty, not easy, but like similar difficulties to spin. But yeah, I could have like created a plyback sample and like referred to it throughout the spin to create a yarn that was even.
I mean, it's like having a gauge swatch and then like checking your gauge as you go. Like, there are different levels of doing it. Most people don't, measure their gauge every section of the project.
Right. But it's a nice thing. Like now that I know, like I would do that in the future because now I might have the skills to actually match it. Whereas before I'm like,
it's going to come out. It's going to come out.
It's going to come out how it comes out. Okay. So then the other thing is we learned all about different fiber preps. So I learned that I think I've mostly been spinning combed top.
Yep.
Which all the fibers are going the same direction and everything. So then
that's roving.
This is carded roving. So you can see the difference
for sure
between the top, which is all like going and saying, hey Kent, you're gonna come be in the podcast too. And then this is the roving, which like the fibers are all going in different directions. I didn't spin much of this, but it was extremely challenging.
So most people, I think this is a confusing thing because most people will say, oh, I have this braid of roving, and it's usually not roving.
It's top.
It's top.
Yeah.
If you have roving, you might have a bat. If you buy a bat from someone, it's carded.
Yeah.
Like you can tell this is carded, how airy
it's all
it is.
Going, yeah.
And there definitely is a learning curve. I mean, this is what you would use if you actually want to make like a true woolen spun yarn.
Exactly.
And it's so nice.
So that's actually what led us into talking about worsted versus woolen spun. And so I'm pretty like worsted, where I'm like, pressing out all the air. But I didn't know that there's so many different ways to do it. You can like have a woolen prep and spin it worsted, or you can have a combed top and like spin it woolen, or like you can. I don't know. There was just like all these different ways, which I did not know, which was really cool.
Yeah, you get like semi-woolen or semi-worsted, and they're all cool.
It was really
like
cool.
I spin most of my comb top woolen.
Yeah.
But it's not a true woolen spun because it's comb top.
Right, exactly.
But when I use rollads or bats, then you get like a carded. It's so cool.
Well, something that you're going to find fascinating, and I did take some pictures, but not a ton. I'll have to show you later. But she had all of these different swatches, so knitted swatches. So it was like, here's the same yarn. Here it's worsted spun. Here it's woolen spun. Here it's worsted spun single, 2-ply, 3-ply, woolen spun single, 2-ply, 3-ply. And like they were all knit in the same pattern. And we got to see how it looked in cables, lace, and stockinette. And not only was that helpful for spinning, but also helpful for like yarn buying.
Yes, when you buy a 2-ply, it might be great for lace, right? Because it like pushes and opens up, but not so good for cables.
Yes, because it's not like round enough to like plump up. And I was like, I need you to teach this to everybody because this is amazing.
That's so cool because I think like this sounds like a workshop based on the highlights of the book, but like when you just see pictures of the swatches, it's not the same.
Yeah, you get to touch them.
Oh my gosh, look how squishy this is. Look how.
It was so cool. So that was like 4 hours. I mean, that really super, refined. So what I ended up doing is I just kept practicing with all the different fibers. And then in the afternoon, we got to plying and we talked about different plying techniques. So I did a chain ply on all of the fibers I tried. So this is a 3-ply, a chain ply.
You need to teach me all the tips for chain plying because I'm not good at it.
Really, really liked it. Like the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is horrible. And this is a tangled mess. I hate this so much. And then once I got the hang of it, I was like, I don't want to stop plying. She was like teaching us about color. And I'm like, I'm just going to listen and chain ply because this is so much fun. And I really like how it looks. And it made all my yarns look better.
Yeah. I mean, I have some 3-plies versus 2-plies. I'll show you. It's just so round. I just can't, when I chain ply, I break it. So I think I'm trying to go too quickly and too fast and too much uptake. And then I'm like, slow. Oh, I ripped it. And then I have to rejoin it.
It wasn't slow because once you got going, you could just keep going. But it was I didn't have it going very fast.
When I ply, my wheel's almost all the way up. And then I think I need to slow it down for chain plying.
Yeah. So we can I'll wind this off. And I'm not going to do anything with it. But look at this. Look how nice that looks. So, another discovery for me. One, I got to use my new bobbin.
I know. I was going to say, was that the first time?
Yeah, I used my bobbin from Spinning Siren that came with my box. I think I added it on. But this is a merino silk. I think it was 80/20. That was one of the new... Sorry, it's not really focusing.
Is it on my face?
No, I think it's just because I'm using a lens so that it can look at the two of us and it doesn't like to focus. But I think it was 80% merino, 20% silk. And I was like, this is going to be really hard. Silk is notoriously difficult to work with, even in knitting.
You loved
it? I loved it.
It's so shiny.
It's so shiny. And then I don't have very much to do, but I thought I might just practice plying on that. But then I did have a little sample of it. And I'm like, that looks
really nice.
That actually looks pretty
that looks beautiful. Yarn. I actually don't think, I know I said to you I don't like silk. I think the only braid that I've used that has silk was merino silk flax.
Oh, that would be tough.
I did not like the flax because it's like hay. It feels like clumps of hay.
It doesn't have any to it.
So I think it wasn't the silk that was the problem. So now I'm like, oh, maybe I need to try something that's just merino silk. That
would have been hard to start with, but like at this point, I feel pretty good about it, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so we did drafting, we did like fibers, we did plying, and then we started talking about color. Mm-hmm. So she was so generous with the materials. We did pay like a materials fee. Yeah. But like, I feel like we got so much fiber for it. And even after the class, she was like, come get more fiber. And I was like, I live in a van. I'm like, I'm good with what I have here. But this is from Into the World.
I was going to say, this is so pretty. What color is it? Do you know?
I don't. It was like all in like little bundles. Like she broke apart.
I think I have an Into the World braid that I got from Michael now.
Oh, do you mean like what fiber is it?
No, I meant what color.
But I don't remember what fiber it is actually, but it might be Corriedale.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like merino.
It does not feel like merino.
Maybe
but
Corriedale?
I'm not sure. But like this is an ounce, I believe. So I feel like that's a pretty good chunk. So I'm saving this because I've been practicing some color things. So basically we learned a billion different ways you can break apart a braid and make it look different. And so this is so freaking cool. Actually, where did my phone go? I feel like I need to show this to you at the same time we're talking about it. So,
oh my God, I know what it is. Okay.
Yeah. So this is so cool. So basically she was like, she had a similar braid to this, like in the number of colors that were in it. And she had that braid sitting next to this massive swatch of all these different ways that it had been spun and then knitted into stockinette. So there was 9 different ways. And I'll put the picture up on the screen. But so let's see. She carded it and that made like it very blended together. She did like random chunks of it. Okay. She did one where she removed a color. So like every time she got to that color, she removed it.
Green.
Let's see. I don't remember exactly. I think these in the middle were more like separate. Separated. It says like single match and chain ply. And then she had one where she did half and or she like flipped it around. A fractal, which is what I'm doing with Pretty Twisted Arms. I have the wrong bag in this one. Then the one I want to get to, because this is one I've been practicing, is parallel drafting.
That's so cool.
So parallel drafting is where you like, I guess what she was explaining is like when you have this, you make it into like really small bits. And every time you join in like one half, it's like starts at a different point. So like I could have like a little piece that starts at this end and a little piece that starts at the other end, and I'm holding them together and I'm keeping them separated with one hand, but I'm like drafting them together with the other hand. And then the next time I join in a piece, I might like make it start here. And then the next time I might make it start at green. And then the next time I might make it start at red. And it makes almost this like speckly kind of.
Yeah, it's like pixelated because it really breaks up the colors. Whereas like fractal, you're going to get longer stretches of color.
Stripes.
What's this one? Oh, flip. So you can see it's still more heathered, but they're still striping longer amounts.
So I thought this was so cool. So that was the rest of the day for me practicing parallel drafting because I found it really challenging. But she suggested like don't do it on your multicolor braid first, do it with 2 solids.
So you can see
it. So that's the last thing I have on my wheel. This is traveling so nicely.
I feel like this is like the wheel of the traveling pants. Like
I know.
The traveling sisterhood of the traveling wheel.
Ta-da. Okay. So I have been practicing with my Wicked colors.
Is it actually Wicked fiber or no?
No, it was just pink and green. And so I just like have been practicing parallel drafting. I think you can kind of see it. Don't ignore the pink chunk, but like the parts that are pink and green, it's like a barber pole kind of thing. But when it's plied, it won't look barber pole-y. But you could do 2 different plies of 2 different colors and then ply them together and it would look like that, which I think is very fun. But yeah, so I've just been practicing.
Reminds me of like a candy store.
Yeah.
Like, you know, those like licorice like sticks or whatever. That's what it's giving vibes.
So that was my class and it was so fun and so amazing. And I'm probably going to practice with all the little pieces I have. And then the last thing I want to do with this is like do an actual parallel draft and like understand how the colors are going to change with that. And then maybe I'll have enough yarn to make like a yarn cozy is what I thought.
I mean, an ounce. 1 ounce is like 25, 30 grams.
Yeah. So I should have enough to do that. So this is like the only project I intend to come out of this, like a knitting project, but I have so many fun things that I've practiced. Cool. It was so cool.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I loved it.
Yeah. Now, did you look through the book last time when you were here?
Maybe, but it wouldn't have meant anything to me.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you might have, and you were like, oh, okay. Now I'm like, oh, I want you to look through the book and be like, well, this class basically like took these pages and like blew them up and expanded them.
It was so cool.
That's so cool.
It was so fun. But now I feel like my spinning, like my desire to spin is back. I think I just did too much spinning in February to try to get as much of that done as possible. And now I'm like, I'm ready to spin it again and finish it and make it into something.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Thanks for being a guest.
You're going to have to teach me more things. I hope.
Yeah, we'll practice.
But thank you for sharing all of this. That's so cool.
Yeah. We've got some news to go through this week. So let's start with the Love and Stitches membership because it is open for this week only to new members. It just opened today, Tuesday, May 6th, and it will be open through Sunday, May 11th at midnight Eastern time. Actually, I think it's technically 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. There are 100 spots. I don't really anticipate them all filling up on Tuesday, but sometimes they do, and sometimes they fill before the end of the week. So if you're interested in the Love and Stitches membership and you're seeing this like early on in the week, go ahead if you're interested and sign up just in case the spots do fill. We do like to cap it at 100 new members because to keep things from growing too fast. So we find that with, anywhere between 1 and 100 people, things are great and everything like just melts together really nicely. But sometimes if we get so many new members, it is a little bit too much new. So that's why we started doing that. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But just in case, I do want to mention that. We won't be opening again until September. So we're in like the second 4-month period of the year. We have so many fun things going on for summer. We're doing Tori's tops and we're going to have an interview with her. This month, we're going to have a virtual tour of Wing and a Prayer Farm and see the lambs. We're doing kind of like a Christmas in July, like color work / sock week stuff. And then August is a tips and tricks month. And we're going to be learning about Knit Companion from the creator of Knit Companion, learning about knitwear photography. It's just, there's going to be so many fun things. There's also an exclusive sock week project bag that is only available to members. There are project bags that are available to everybody. So don't worry, that's not that you can't get a project bag, but there's like a specific style and fabric that's only available to members, which is a new thing I'm doing this year. So yeah, we're going to have lots of fun. I'll put the membership page down below. You can sign up through Sunday, May 11th. Okay, we have wrapped up the Float Tote Cal. It's completely done and closed. All the winners have been pulled. The Discord is closed. But I just have to say, it was so much fun. Thank you everyone who participated. I actually met some people this weekend at both Maryland and Yarn Centric that said they had participated in the Float Tote Cal and made a float tote and had a really great time. So I think that's something that style of make-along is something I want to do again next spring. I like doing make-alongs in the spring because we have sock week in the late summer. So yeah, it may not be the float tote again, but maybe I'll pick something else and we can do a similar make-along. It's really fun. I did want to share the winners here just in case you didn't see it on Discord. So we have 3 winners. These were all pulled from our finished tote thread in Discord. So winner number 1 is Linda. Winner number 2, I believe your name is pronounced Sean. And winner number 3 is Helma. And we had, I think at least one person is an international winner. So that's really fun. We have people participate from all over the world. So thank you again for participating in the Float SoCal. The next make-along coming up is Sock Week. And even though Sock Week itself isn't until July, there is stuff coming this month because the sponsors are going to be revealed on Tuesday, May 27th here on YouTube. I have all of the products now. So this week I have it on my schedule to film the sponsor reveal video, which will then go up on May 27th. It will be a premiere, which means it's pre-recorded, but it shows live because there's a live chat. So that way we can all like be excited and participate together. So Tuesday, May 27th, noon Eastern time, that's when the sponsors are going to be revealed, but the products are not going to go on sale for another week and a half. So you don't need to stress if you can't make it, on a weekday in the middle of the day. I understand so many people work. So we're actually going to have our shop update on Saturday this year. Usually it's on Friday. I was like, why don't we make it Saturday? So it's easier for people to shop. So hopefully that's easier for you to shop. I will have more details coming out and like a whole web page all about Sock Week that will all get revealed on May 27th. Our theme this year is Ice Cream Social. We have some really pretty yarns, some incredible bags, some really fun accessories. So stay tuned, mark your calendar. All of that is coming very soon. And then the next event that we are going to be at is coming up really soon in 2 weeks, Knit City, Montreal. This is our first destination in Canada. It is May 16th through the 18th. And we're planning to be there on Saturday. So hopefully I will get to see and meet some new people. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to see what yarn is offered at Knit City. I've heard the most wonderful things about the Knit City or Knit Social. I think it's Knit Social events that puts on Knit City. There's a Knit City in Montreal. There's, I think, one in Vancouver. So yeah, I'm really excited to go to Montreal. It's going to be so much fun. As I mentioned, we're back on the road this week. So we actually started the week in Tennessee. And then our first thing was going to Georgia for my youngest brother's wedding weekend. So we just decided we would go ahead, pack up the van, bring toaster, head down to Georgia with everything ready to go because right after that, we knew we were going to need to start heading north to Maryland for Maryland Sheep and Wool, which happened this past weekend. So I've got more than a week to share with you of things that have happened. So we made it to Georgia and we right away, like first day, went to an NPS site. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but they did have a junior ranger book and we did some hiking. So we hiked on the Chattahoochee River. There was the first half of the hike was just pretty level, lots of tree cover right along the river. It was so, so beautiful. And then you had an option to like turn around or you could hike up, a little bit mountainy, not like super, super high elevation. But so we decided to go up and we hiked up and down. And I don't know, it was just a really cool hike. And I felt like, okay, we're back. Like we haven't been traveling for 5 months. We really haven't been traveling anywhere where we've done a lot of national park sites in a while. This was not a national park, but it was run by the NPS. And we haven't done that in so long. And I miss it. I really enjoy being outside in good weather and hiking. And it was just really enjoyable. So that was really nice. We took some pictures. We even got to break out our trail shoes right away. So that was really lovely. And then that weekend we had my brother's wedding in Georgia. It was just so beautiful. I'm so happy for my brother. And it was so good to see, all my siblings again, because we don't all live in the same place, to see some family. So it was really good. Even Kent's mom and brother came. So we spent a lot of time, like it was a very casual and chill wedding. My brother and his wife are so like chill. It was really great. But so we spent a lot of time hanging out together, picking up food or eating out or playing games. So it was just a really, really fun weekend. Right after that, we got back in the van and split off from my family, said our goodbyes, which was really sad. As you know, we've been living with my parents for the last 4 or 5 months, so it's weird to kind of be on our own again. But we split off from them and we headed towards Washington, D.C. actually, but for Maryland sheep and wool. So we stayed with my friend Shayna in Washington, D.C. for the past like 4 or 5 days, which was really, really fun. They just are so welcoming to us and we really enjoy their family. But Shane and I took a spinning class together, which you heard about already. And we did that on Wednesday. And then Thursday was kind of a get all the work done day because like the whole last week had been chaotic with packing and the wedding. And then Friday we went to Yarn Centric. So I have some acquisitions to show you from Yarn Centric. And there is going to be an entire video about Yarn Centric coming, and that will be on Thursday. And then also a video about Maryland sheep and wool. So we kind of decided to record 2 shorter videos rather than 1 longer video to really showcase everything. So Yarn Centric was incredible. It was our first time at Yarn Centric. The venue is mostly inside. There were some vendors outside that had yarn trucks and a couple of tents, but it was a really well-run event. And Mike, one of the people who runs Yarn Centric, and also his wife is the dyer behind 29 Bridges, they had invited me to come last year to Yarn Centric, and we had a wedding that weekend, and so we couldn't come. So I've been planning to go to Yarn Centric since May of last year, and I'm so glad we finally made it there. So I did just want to show like a couple of the things that I got. So first of all, they took care of us so well. We had an official Toaster's here now. Hopefully he'll be not too loud. So sorry, you're in Centric. They did have an official meet and greet that I did for an hour while I was there, but we got there early enough to film. So we were talking to people all along the way, but they made me some stickers and they also made me these little stitch markers to hand out, which is so sweet and so cute. They just have the 11 Stitches logo on them, which was so nice. And so anything that was left over, I got to keep. And then also I got to keep some for myself, which was really cute. And then they made me this little tin to keep things in, which is so cute. It's like a hard, I don't know what that is. It's really cool. And then they also had a huge, I took a picture in front of it, a huge ground sticker, like this big, for me, which was really, really cool. But yeah, let's talk about the event. So there was a ton of vendors there. I'm not going to go through every single thing because like I said, we have a vlog on that. And we tried to go to as many new to us vendors as possible and also Maryland and Virginia vendors since those are really close by. So it was really, really fun. I've decided, and we'll see how long I can hold out on this, that I'm not really going to shop very much this year. You know how I did basically a yarn every single place that I went last year because I was making my travel blanket. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm of course going to get some yarns in Canada because I want to, you know, I don't know when I'm going to be back. I want to explore new to me dyers and stuff. But for everything else, my plan is really just to get yarn when I'm ready to work a new project. So we'll see. Don't hold me to it. But I did want to go ahead and buy some yarn for my next project after I finish the Skyline Tee. So I knew exactly what I needed. And that was 4 skeins of fingering weight. And I'm going to be making the Florence Tee by Courtney Clark. This is a t-shirt that the 11 Stitches membership picked out because we are doing knit tops and crochet tops. And so for our crochet top, that's the one that we're going to make. It's super cute. It's a V-neck. It's got lace on it. If you saw my Tees and Tanks video, you would have seen that top. So I decided to go for a neutral. I wasn't really sure what I was looking for. Of course, I was exploring pink, but I decided to go for a nice, soft neutral. It's looking a little darker here. It is a little bit dark in this room, but it is called Linen. And this is their 29 Bridges Go-To Sock 75/25. So I'm excited to use 29 Bridges. It felt like the right thing to get, right? Because I wanted to get yarn that was Maryland based, and also they're the ones who run Yarn-Centric. So it just felt really perfect. A couple other things that was really cool about the show is Kent and I both had name tags, which was wild. I just thought I was, going as a participant. And so mine said Natalie and Kent said Mr. Nitty Natty, which was really cute. And then and then they also gave me this notebook, which I love a notebook. Hold on, I want to pull these off of here. They made me a little notebook that has my logo and says Knitting Journal and Nitty Natty on it. Isn't that so cool? And it even has a little thing for a pin, which I just love. So I'm totally going to be using this to like brainstorm projects and stuff. And then I ran into a couple friends who gave me some things. So I ran into Brandy of Plucky. And so she brought me this beautiful yarn. So they were not a vendor at Yarn-Centric, but she gifted this to me. This is going to be, I think she said one of their new colors. It's called Pop Rocks. And also, maybe she said a new base. This is the Plush DK. It's a merino cash style nylon, which is like made to feel a little bit softer. So that's really fun. I can't wait to try that out. And then my friend Sarah, who makes these yarn cozies and also stitch markers, had a bunch of yarn cozies, and I picked out this one because I was feeling very much in like I don't know if these are oranges. I don't know what these are, but they looked like oranges to me when I picked them out. And for my brother's wedding, each of us had a different color, and my color was orange, so I was feeling very orange. So I grabbed that. Okay, I think that's all the Yarn-Centric things. Again, we're going to have a video that goes through a lot of the vendors. There were so many wonderful things there. So if I saw you at Yarn-Centric, it was so nice to meet you. I had a fantastic time. Then that day, since we were in Frederick, Maryland for Yarn-Centric, we decided to go to Magpie Fibers. So Magpie, you may have seen them because they are really well known, but they are yarn dyers, but they also have a brick and mortar store where they carry their own yarn and a few other yarn brands. But then like half the store is also just more craft things. They had, okay, first let me back up. From the outside, it is an old bank. It's on the corner of a really cute block in Frederick. Very cute little town. And when you walk in, it's a massive store. I had no idea it was that big. So like one half is yarn and then one half is like other craft things. So there was needle felting, there was painting, there was like journaling stuff. There was a lot of cute, like, what's the right name for this? Like, just like a store, when you're walking in a cute downtown and you walk past a store, kind of like a gift store, but like more on the crafty side. So like lots of little cute things that any tourist would want, but also like when you're a yarn tourist, other things you would love to look out, plus the yarn. So it was just a really cool store. And then in the back of the store is the old bank vault, and they've turned that into another space for yarn. So it's just a really cool shop. So I've used Magpie yarn before, but I really wanted to see the store. So that was fun to go to. And then this weekend, actually specifically Saturday, we went to Maryland Sheep and Wool. So that's the big Sheep and Wool festival that kind of draws everyone in for the weekend. And then Yarn-Centric is a side event that happens on Friday with lots and lots of vendors. And then Maryland Sheep and Wool also has tons of vendors, but also it has the sheep and the different demonstrations and the fair food and like all the fun things, kind of like Rhinebeck, but just a different environment. So I had been to Maryland once before in 2022, and it poured rain the entire time. And so I was really excited to be back and to be there with better weather and to get to see everything. So our Maryland Sheep and Wool video will be coming out next week. But again, we try to focus on dyers that we haven't been to before, and Maryland and Virginia if we could. I also had a really good time walking around and trying out different spinning wheels. So that's going to be in there. Trying to think, once we are settled somewhere again, I would love to have a larger capacity wheel. So I tried a few e-wheels. I don't know if I'm going to go the e-wheel route or the treadle wheel route but that's for a future. So I just thought I would try a few while we were there. So that's all in that video. But yeah, it was really great. It was very hot. It was like in the 80s. So that was a little uncomfortable. And then at the very end of Saturday, it poured rain, really, really bad, like just a deluge of rain. And we were in one of the tents when that happened, and rain just started. Well, first of all, they were trying to secure the sides of the tent, which was helpful. But then they were kind of on a hill, so like rain just started coming through, like flooding the booth. So you may have seen some videos from some of the vendors. I think I need to go back and look at this, but I think for the most part, inventory was semi-okay, but I know there's been a list compiled of vendors whose inventory was affected by that rain. So I'm going to locate that list and try to share it, at least in our Maryland Sheep and Wool video, or if I have it by the time this goes out, I'll share it. But yeah, keep an eye out for those vendors because that rain was really bad and definitely affected a lot of people's or several people's booths. But we were like, let me help. How can we pick up yarn and like make sure it doesn't get wet and muddy and everything like that. So it was a little bit crazy. So we did not go back on Sunday because it was raining again, but like not quite as bad. And then Sunday we headed up here to Pennsylvania, and now we're in current times, and that's it. That's what happened this week. I did buy a stitch marker at Maryland, but I couldn't find it before I sat down to record. So I'll try to get a picture, but We One's Creations, I have several of their markers. They're so cute, and they made a stitch marker of Maryland Sheep and Wool's breed of the year, which is the Blacknose Valet or Valet Blacknose. I can't remember which order it goes in. So I made sure to walk around and find that sheep and also find their fiber. So like all of that's in the video too, but the stitch marker is really cute. It has a black-eyed Susan, I think, on its head. I don't know. It's really adorable and also the perfect thing for me to collect living in a van. All right, Toaster, is that everything for the week? Do you have anything else to share? Right. I think he's really like staying in all of our friends' houses. So we're soaking this in before we hit the road, like really hit the road, staying in our van full time next week for Montreal. All right. I think that's everything for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.